Ebusia ade achini anti asem fra yichini. Dr. Randy Abbey, only the CEO of Cocobod, say, na menu say Dr. Randy Abbey, and I'm the Western region. Walk tall, you name say Coco. Ghana had the Western region, any dim it mine. Into Dr. Randy Abbey, Koto to have a look at the facilities what your friend is saying, Western region, Cocobod facilities, Western region to Koto to have a look at it. Now we are no Koto, we are no copy one radio station, our Western region, and what did to just in name say ECG for containers a big porter, Ayala, Yasha, young, Ayaku, like young Ayakochi, a month for fee, factories, MPP for Tombiama, Chinese companies, Indian companies, no. Sir Cocobod was a whoa. Cocobod, Dr. Randy Abbey, more video no have watched. Dr. Randy Abbey, go to radio station Western region, what did you just say Cocobod for import over 200 containers of like Cocobod Nyoma Abbey porter, but as say will take you over, be seen there. Omuntimi trace over 200 containers. Omu baby afa. Inti wa reported yama BNI. Say BNI for any investigation. Dr. Randy Abbey sa twaso. Adding some to about a lot of corruption, of course, during the MPP era and MPP tenure. 8 years now, Akufo-Addo bedi so corruption, of course, our bar office wa be discover nano. Wa report to Ediama BNI. Na means obi amre. We go tie nsema Dr. Randy Abbey edi tuja. Our Western region.
Oh, as a first of all, no, Mada Omampeni, as I said, or Mami Akwenye, Meda Nyamiasi, and so said, so far, no, only me die, and say, Bibi Akosuye. The truth of the matter is, I mean, yeti echire sani ana near him say issues or Cocobod, but I'm the Miriamuno and me huni amana mu bebre.
Okay.
Na sani ana ye feel say niama enko yi wo ho no ye ye hunu kra na kire say the anan ye feel say enim no baby kitwa. But what we have seen now is really huge. But I'm say Omampeni at the Jumanisha and same thing be be SCC their enko ye na Coco Jumano Afsan Fran in Tumapa.
Okay.
Enti you be focus on that. Were agencies or more responsible for Niama enko ye or Cocobod no you be job no so ayomo juma.
Okay.
And you have focus on because the most important thing ne senior be you be peja Coco juma ne biom because Ghana economy no Coco na kitano.
Yeah.
And Oshe Coco Oshe even a registered farmers in 800,000. Enti Oshe the impact of Coco our Ghanaian economy na enye agro. Enti yabehwe senior meneme mempenifo senior be ya yebetumi epeja Coco adwuma no me sure in the course of the conversation some of these issues will come up.
Okay. Dr. Mami Sami said be by observations in sending na wahu na ba unit ahodo a wasra na mfu ahodo a wasra na dey na wahu.
Oh, I'm say President State of the Nation Oma Ghana enyina ehu senia yen industry no at least Brembeka say a snapshot of baby industry need. First of all, a car a Cocobod, which is almost 33 billion cedis, almost 33 billion. Now free horn more. One other thing I'm raise here, I'm the finance minister, and so I raise apart from a cano, also has to do with BBFN rollover. Rollover need stress. Your fan says this year. Now many buyers assign contracts. Inti mema o 10 tons. 10 tons no meton no $3,000 na se season be endi na mentumi an deliver sa 10 tons na mawa na kire se bia me deliver 6 na ka 4 na sa 4 no ye de be ko the following year eno ni roll over no nti ye ko following year na metua me supply o sa 4 tons na mentumi an supply no. Interestingly, for the first time in the history of Cocobod, rollover from 23-24 into current season 24-25, no, 333,767 tons. Okay. 333,767 tons. Aye cocoa omo anomo ho no, omo tons a cocoa no $2,600 a ton. Say no omo be free ho no omo pushi mandate omo de ma CMC was 6,600. Enti sale aye for 2024-25 season no 6,600. Enti 333,767 tons ye. Anytime odi 2024-25 cocoa ebe services are 23-24 cocoa ye no. Cocoa equafo no and a Cocobod lose $4,000
okay
on every single ton. A bean seed in the history of Ghana, first of all, in terms of volumes. Because 2017, new government there was a lot of noise about rollover by Dr. Punya administration. What was that rollover? 50,000. Price difference was under $200. But this one 333,767 tons of contracts that they couldn't supply at 2,600. I had 6,600 cocoa and I had the air supplies our contract. So the difference is $4,000 on every ton.
Wow.
As we speak, your supply more 210,000 tons, which translates into $840 million. So any sika cocoa equafo no any Ghana Cocobod yashre as a result of that.
Okay.
So that's another one. Oba you can be buy and yes you Cocobod were about 200 containers AC port na 200 containers na agrochemicals and na juice sacks. Near Koshia Muno, Niama, obviously, you cry 2022-23. In 2025, 23-24, 24-25. And these things are supposed to be at the port. I call demurrage. As I call auction. You check here, containers no here. All those figures are much about 200 no. You check here yenhusu. And it is a National Investigation Bureau investigate this idea no. Well, the so-called 200 containers no any Cocobod stores. We are still trying to find out how many of these containers are available, what are in those containers. Now, whilst we are this shipping lines are blacklisted Cocobod because once the shipping lines no omo containers and omo do uniama gum omo de ba port na uyi uniama no mo de omo containers echo back.
Okay.
It is a want to me you uniama no omo containers no aka omo to me in back na chere so omo adwuma no so essay.
Yeah.
Into 22 23 24 niama importers omo krania mama Cocobod no omo de aba Cocobod and to me and clear niama no. It is shipping lines now blacklisted Cocobod. And our shipping lines now some blacklisted our suppliers. No?
Okay.
Now what is interesting is say what craniama for 22-23. Year. That was the same things for 23-24. Year. That was the same things for 24-25. Until Ufa BBT said Jude Sachs. Jude Sachs company no more supply no. They've been blacklisted by their shipping lines. Omatro petition to us attaching all the documents no I say in one of the first meetings I'm here with the shipping lines to plead with them, to explain to them what the issue, to tell them about how in Shisha Ede Tuhwa Sanyamanu NCBO, and to get them to also continue to do business with suppliers, no, because we'll continue to grow cocoa, and we'll continue to need agrochemicals, the fertilizers and everything, and the sacks and all that. Now, into sacks are wo imported 2 years ago. 1 year, they are imported this year. 1 year, only for us to find out to say, no knowing say before move free so no, or masa award the contract for sacks for 25-26. IS season a afe nearby be komuno. Oh, more award the idea no. What they did was that omo escrow your account Ghana International Bank of London $48 million for that money to pay for the 25-26 sacks. It is sacks now bad than no. Won't go ye. Now so sign contract 25-26 at the tabo or whatever. I hope my tree is correct on that one. What the tabo eto so say $48 million of Cocobod Sikano. And no young fan to special account mo to service the contract for 25-26. Meanwhile, there were 2 previous years, no. A 1 year, shipping lines, or more blacklisted supplier. But before you left office, you went to procure for 25-26 and escrowed $48 million. So these are some of the things we keep discovering every single day. As far as Cocobod is concerned.
Doctor, my minister, with regards to the awoken, previous administration, no, and some awoken no, chief executive and also about justify the awoken, and also their response now.
What justify is saying?
Say, a car mobogu honum no, na idea was say, a coso and a coso na, and no bet him was saying.
I never met him. To be honest to you, how say bet him? Because the truth of the matter is say, who say, sir, interview. I hope says the same thing I read.
Yeah.
Me can be so say mobile no na syndicated loan na sikano asa enti also mo kope busu 1.4 billion.
Yeah.
Na 1.4 billion no na omuntua enti so basically they are not can say they had to go and look for 1.4 billion cedis.
Yeah.
Okay. Into 1.4 billion cedis. Any main friend is a car. Your friend is a car over 2 years, 1.4 billion. And I will corner, wage at 33 billion. Into a car over 2 years, no, what the times 33, and a wager. And I also the save cocoa industry. You saving how? Say cocoa price echo form. And now Okobo Bushandi to a cocoa farmer. And I say we are ding. And as I see new head office, my Cocobod.
Okay.
And now we see new warehouse, my Cocobod. And now we are doing. Who is canny again? How? I mean, I need to understand it because let me tell you something. Western North,
yeah.
Western North was the number 1 as far as cocoa production was concerned. Western North eluzu number 1. No?
Yeah.
Not because Ekuafe wo ha no. Omun nye Jumadin. And also nim cocoa near. But swollen shoot SSVD are affecting most of farms. No? And na Cocobod. I say Okoji Busian or AFDB. Edi aye sa farms SSVD no and they are from aged and moribund farms because their farms no from 25 to 30 years no na omo ni aba from o say eyi aha na sa busiano cocoa and editua busiano documenta Cocobod edical parliament parliament approve your medical G loan no na yes here the $140 million ebe 156,000 hectares 156,000 hectares of both diseased and moribund farms 156,000 hectares. Now Salo no 140 million for SSVD farms no.
Okay.
and about 83 million for moribund farms no into kabomua $223 million and loan no yes ye the 156,000 hectares of farms no. Now in this loan agreement there was also $40 million for irrigation. Cocobod esa call Asia AFD before a presentation say irrigation no enye adwumanti omo allow omo no mfasa 40 million no enka rehabilitation there no.
Okay.
Into rehabilitation no now move from 223 to 263 million. Into irrigation 40 million yanye ya discount go can rehabilitation. So $263 million. I see the year 156,000 hectares. Eh? Me no ka say farms are ye rehabilitation na ye the ama farmers 40,000 40,000 out of 156,000 no 223 million yes and the irrigation $40 million na count into irrigation mu and they can rehabilitation and they about $263 million instead of $223 million to do 156,000 hectares. 40,000 hectares and we are handing over to farmers. There's another 27,000. As at 27,000 no omunwie. Me no ka say after spending 263 million ye krata kire say almost san spendi Cocobod sika 700 million Ghana.
Wow.
Akas 263 million yet 156,000 hectares now yes EG 223 million na here no 263 million plus 263 million US dollars plus 700 million Ghana cedis no yeah only 40,000 hectares and there's another 27,000 yeah the other friends say be a phase 1 into enye
okay
they expecting say Cocobod be pesika e dey amasa contractors yi amomo say we don't know how much that is going to cost. It already know rehabilitation Western North farms na say rehabilitate ya G 223 million almost and irrigation 40 can where 263 million almost I spend 700 million Ghana in addition to 263 million only 40,000 has been completed. Is this what is saving the cocoa industry? Me what the 3 billion here can we count we count because we are say 1 or 2 a year see the cocoa nature and even a cut 3 billion but this is how Cocobod utilize or spent the money meant for rehabilitating 156,000 farms. What is there to show is 40,000 farms, that 40,000 hectares of farms. That is what has been handed over. The thing that was supposed to cost us 223 million went up to 263 million. Now it's 263 million plus 700 million Ghana, and only 40,000 hectares have been fully delivered. 27,000 no, we have not been able to deliver it yet, and we don't know how much it will cost to fully do it. If this is fully done, it will come up to only 67,000 hectares. When we set out to do 156,000 hectares, yeah, this is how much money we've spent.
Okay. Wow. Anyway, Liberty 92.7 FM. So, and was to go with you. Pay mene Dr. Randy Abbey and I didn't come and say, or your chief executive Mark Cocobod. Now, can I say, you come live on Lord FM, Adishi FM, Stylish FM, Samso and Fit FM, Unique FM, The Beat FM, Omunina FM, Max FM, and Vision FM, Omunina so F Dumadi. Na Doctor, Mame Samra usubim, and they usha, Senya, Okasa Mokai, and Kawaba Safianum say ya, Coco de Nankin says if you did Mokai, but says Yano, Minister Macassi be a toss of bay Numa and I since your baby has time to be corrected though. Ghana Cocoa Production CCA air for me. Plans Bena when our demonstration more was a more beboa and my cocoa production mopida.
I think first of all, me cocoa professor Sutia me and QC.
Okay.
But I think first of all, we share 23-24.
Okay.
Yeah, in total production was 480,000. Okay. Now, as we speak, you drew almost 580. We're hoping, say, Nami Aduma be able to make a year no at 600.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I think, say, overall, no, for Ghana, you say swollen shoot are affecting data no suggests about 40% of the farmlands, and that's why I said, say, Western North seriously affected. Now, there's also the issue of climate change. Into weather no usha most of your farms no your irrigation. Into na AFDB there no your irrigation share 40 million. And no call back say you to mean irrigation no. Into 40 million in rehabilitation no. Into that irrigation component no is gone. Into we are still relying on weather no. Into with climate change now titinu ya nim say Ghana 8 months rain, 4 months dry no. Say na sisa. So it's also creating a lot of problems. And galamsey no so ne de wo ho. Galamsey no affecting in many ways apart from the issue of say lands no air corner. There's also the issue of heavy metals. And because of that no Japan, European Union and others they are all beginning to test for heavy metals. And that's also an issue. One of the things I hear who say no wa na say na omo aba say ahimfo ana say ebusuafo e de omo asase ama mining for cocoa no omo dwere. And there's something interesting about Ghana. Almost virtually the bia cocoa obi no gold or inti enra say ye call atronsu no. Okay. No more can say about 3 hectares 3,000 hectares of land. Oma basom bezo muji assassin refinery for bauxite. And as a country, we need to begin to ask ourselves critical questions and raise critical issues. Yeah. Because sebebia gold will be no mineral either gold and now bauxite. You bet juri cocoa just for those minerals. Because what I kept telling them was that cocoa no amount income for 25 to 30 years. So 30 years no cradua, yes I rehabilitation to take you another 30 years. Enti cocoa ni transgenerational. Okay. But gold no omu 2 ana we no omu 2 year. That's it. No more san job na ma no mo ko. Enti udrin dia obedi enenko a you go and take that decision. So as a country we need to be clear in our minds. Say look, we need to take a decision. Say baby yedua cocoa dada na cocoa no. We should not get there. We should preserve the cocoa no. Well, what we're also trying to do is say I was a rehabilitation. We need to take a second look at it. Unfortunately, AFDB gave us a good opportunity. Can you imagine if Yaye sa 156,000 hectares, it would have added about 110,000 hectares of production capacity to Ghana's cocoa. Okay. But when we had the opportunity and took this 263 million, we only delivered 40,000 hectares. Meanwhile, it was a laudable idea. Anki share so edi kumapa any nukredi eye adwuma yi anka. We would have added 156,000 hectares of productive cocoa farmlands. You can imagine what this extra 110,000 hectares will produce as far as production capacity is concerned. Okay. But when we had the opportunity, we blew it. Now we have to look for more money. There's a World Bank project, but that's just for 21,000 hectares. Ye per se, ye share senior mo ye we no, ye no ye, so that we can be able to now go full scale into that. There's also the issue of plantation farming that we are looking at. Onze Omampeni also spoke about youth in agric, and there's a youth in cocoa farming component into Ura Otokuno or no presidency in charge of agribusiness no. Oni me cry meetings. Our government ebe acquire land banks. Into your acquire land banks now. Yen ebe ma krig acquire soil testing no to show say indeed the place is suitable for cocoa.
Okay.
Then SPD need shed and others will then go in, and then we'll get in the young people to come in. So that's a buying plan, but then it will be plantation kind of farming. That's one way of going about it.
Okay.
The other one not to is to continue. Professor in the outfit, no, omona SPD shena say shed shena say QCC shena say creeks shena say enti omona omudi say juma, and I've taxed them that we need to ramp up the production. We need to do a lot more work with the farmers, identify the agrochemicals, insecticides now, and focus on those ones and deliver on those ones.
Okay. Dr. Okasano, one me who never be a cocoa no. But Bakwam say, we few Okasan me cocoa smuggling.
Yes.
And also, yeah, dear hard drink.
Yes.
Diana Mona Mutua found.
Enti smuggling no, even before me assume my office, now National Security Advisor and a coordinator, they had picked it up as a big issue.
Okay.
Enti omo SET up team, which is led by retired general. Me by omone yen NA Juma already near where tax force dada. But obviously, no, we needed to improve a lot of things. Enti ye new omo NA Juma why 3 reconnaissance missions. One eastern side, eastern side near Volta Hormo, Eba middle belt, and we're on course. We are putting in place a strong regime, very reduce smuggling it drastically.
Okay.
The other thing we've also found out is PBC, eto formunity, LBC activity, eastern corridor no Volta side na low, because Volta volumes no enye too much ninety. Most of the private LBCs no omonye interested in going there. Inti nanka PBC na ye adwuma power say I think there is only Fedco. Na omoye adwuma bi of Volta ho. Inti I think there's some people no omoye smuggling no kra na enye say omope. But it's because LBC activity no is low there. And almost omoye cocoa na so omoton anyway. Yeah. Inti we need to improve the presence of LBCs to be able to buy it there. Yeah, security. We also need to deal with the causes of the issue, no, which also has to do with the LBC activity in that area.
Okay.
And then we've also realized, say no, because they're not very lucrative, there's cocoa coming from the middle belt, and they use a horno as a conduit to do the smuggling, and that's how come we've done reconnaissance also in the middle belt to also try and deal with that. Bibia. Ye di hujuma.
Doctor, Okasa no oka be for rehabilitation.
Yes.
Watching nsemo bebre na akuafo do mo yekoko akuafo no mo tie mpempi no communicators ba affiliation na yekoko ho issue a obi a won ye oka e for rehabilitation no. Mame sa sesia de meme wo Western Virgin ha. Enti yanhwe Western Virgin ha. Ya edua koko pa. Rehabilitation the current state pa wo hano enesen. Yeah, current state. Okay. Me koko akuafo ya na yeka major stakeholders ewo koko krema koko akuafo. Na pimpi no koko akuafo no omo complaints ya omo ye ne se Cocobod beto koko obuoma yeden ama wonom. Na se na bi omo bediye ewo koko kraye na omo ye no ene ohaw kese na ha wonom na chief maybe so san semimi no wo ba address ne sen.
Well, first of all, Mudika, and they are more than right. Na Mama Penin, John Dramani Mama, why any clear say, Cocobod na say, priority, the Ghanaian farmer.
Okay.
Na Ghanaian farmer no, enya the true value of Krayana Odino.
Okay.
Now, Obekaya, say. NDC mpanyinfo bebre e kan say say NDC eba omema equafo no about 70% of FOB no as producer price and all that.
Okay.
So that was the position of the NDC. But what nobody knew was say there was this rollover of 333,767 tons. Mabehu handing over notes enimu. Enti nobody knew. Say previous administration no omo aton cocoa at 2,600 or going to me and deliver 333,767 tons. Almost on 26. Until November, few weeks to election now, almost 3-1. Almost very well. Say there's a rollover of 333,767 tons. Almost on 26. But obviously, see a co-election. It's almost record 3-1. It will show us at 3-1 cry. 3-1 no. What the LBC margin and a holiday account a 4,000. 80 Cocobod best spending 4,000 on a ton of cocoa. Now or their supply cocoa a ton of 26. Opening the Abbey cannot say.
Me chief.
We what ton cocoa no 26 and I went to me a supply. But what ton why contract Cocobod contract with the buyers at 26 went to me and supply. And as went to me and supply and 10,000 and 50,000. 333,000 tons. It will 2 muko 3-1 no. 3-1 no. O the LBC for margin bebe mu. And all the haulage bebe mu. O the can work 4,000. 24-25 no. Cocoa bia Cocobod be ton no. Cocobod spending $4,000 on the ton.
Okay.
Now the supply cocoa previous administration no a ton no 26. 80 for every ton of 24-25. Cocobod the best services are 23-24 contracts no. That's why Cocobod pay $1,400 at the count to meet just the cost price. Now the same administration almost set mandate no price for 24-25 for CMC. Say mobile to me a ton cocoa no ton say price almost set here 6,600. 6,600.
Okay.
86,600 no. That is what was supposed to be the value for 24-25 cocoa no. And in Kanukra no 6,600 no and I see a share at the set price no for farmer no.
Oh, okay.
6,600 no.
Okay.
However, because of that 333,767 tons yinti, Oji cocoa na o ton no, SSO ton no 6,600 no. O ton no 2,600. The cocoa na the value and then SSO 6,600 no. O the service 2,600. Inti ana na me kire mu say for every ton of 24-25 cocoa, the services are roll over 333,000 now. A man deliver almost sign who contract 2-6 never down. We lose $4,000. This are $4,000 and no, and I can see a 2 mama farmer no.
Okay.
It is but for that rollover, you would have then be able to pay the farmer a lot more. And they knew because they did it. They sold the thing at 2.6. They set the 6,600 price. And so when they were doing the 3-1, they knew very well that Omweja 333,000 tons. Or my ton 2.6. Our moon deliver. We have to deliver that cocoa with $6,600 cocoa. They knew. It is sometimes than say me to say some of the officials say come about the price you go out. Everyone. How can people be sincere and honest at least a bit? If you can't be truthful with what you have done to this country. I was explaining to you that as at time of Mampeni state of the nation, no, now Cocobod has supplied 210,000 tons of that 2,600 contract no, with $6,600 cocoa. And for each of the 210,000 tons, no, you lose $4,000 on each ton. It is $840 million. And a can say for a bottom and a biaba Cocobod ho. Okuafo ni Cocobod ni yashri. Because of the decisions of these people, because of what they did, the actions. That's what has happened. It looks like we perhaps will have to carry about another 120,000 of that into 25-26. And even if the price goes beyond 6.6, no, we'll still be using that cocoa to be servicing 2,600. That is the problem. But Roman Peña can actually me any finance minister say whatever be the case. August, Nyami Aduma, this year no season ye be in August nyame adoma.
Okay.
Now August ne be season no ye be man new producer price.
Okay.
Despite all these challenges. But it's important that people get to know that adia ekosu nie, adia ye betu ye nie, adia ye dealing with any. It we could have easily in the time and now in this in Pennyfor can say cocoa farmers should get more, cocoa farmers should get more. No, they were right. But no be him say a tokroa amana ye tu esi honye. Okay. Because but for this rollover, all this if by the time ye be wie rollover contracts na cocoa ekuafo no largely and that Cocobod would have lost $1.4 billion, not because cocoa price are falling, but because obi ko sign contracts only sa cocoa, or ko sign contracts only sa cocoa. Why is our rollover? And I can say and see that in the history of Cocobod, Dr. Barnett here no know cocoa ejuma all his life.
Yeah,
and see that whether it is about volumes, whether it's about price difference, me share data now. Me who price difference be a every $200 that in terms of rollover $200. Me who be that.
Okay.
Me who rollover be a every 140,000 or say 130,000 that. And even when you have those volumes now, mostly it's about 90% light crop, which is discounted. So this is the state of cocoa industry in Cocobod. I ever to here.
Okay. Doctor, okasem no oka rollover. Hano indigents na wasem dodo na akwa cocoa akuafo nti me pese rollover no.
Mami explaining ma.
No mo ntiase.
Mami explaining ma. Okay. Enti o say for 32 years.
Yeah.
Na Cocobod ye bibi a friend syndicated loan. Enti se cocoa season e beba. Ye call banks so. E ko pe busuan de betu to cocoa no.
Okay.
Now, in Tibia banks be 3, 4 back together, and I 1, 2 back together to provide loan. Now, baby, I na Dr. Banwa a friend research no. Or maybe be a friend of crop forecast. Enti omuba forecasting, and they say me try me forecast for 25-26.
Okay.
Into omba forecast na be can say for 25-26 season no. You expect to say you benya 650,000 tons. Into Omuka say be able to benya 650,000 tons now. That is the crop forecast for 25-26. Now Omuka answer then you will omo any CMC na ton cocoa no, they deal with the buyers. Okay. They trade. So most beka so expected average of price no, for cocoa no am fan say $6,000. Enti omoka ze $6,000 na Cocobod atransi akaso bia 650,000 any dia expecting price $6,000. Okay. Ebia e was here 30,000 tons etua bui loan. E was here 30,000 tons etua AFDB loan. Enti when mo brofo beka said they encumbered ya sign contracts a ye di sa cocoa no and securitize ye ditua.
Okay, not just say cocoa no ye do kutua sa aka no.
Yes.
Contract na.
Yeah, bui loan na cocoa.
Okay.
And AFDB na make rehabilitation no eno so ye cocoa.
Okay.
Enti say e fans o mo ka say 650 a. Maybe that say enti bui no 25-26 no how many tons any ebe settle bui loan no. Ti fans say 30,000. Ni etie free mu. AFDB I almost another 30,000 ni etie free mu. Na chese aka say 590.
Yeah.
The 590 no ni akaso okay. CMC ye ma mo mandate say munya forward sale. Mun koton let's say 500,000 at $6,000. Into on the basis of this no CMC for no will now go to the buyers. Say ye ton ye 25-26 cocoa. $6,000 a ton. Ye were 500,000 tons available. Into your money buys, you sign contract. Into be better 50,000, obi 20, obi 100, obi 60, obi 40, obi 12. To mo yes contract in area. No more the Cocobod say ya ko sign contracts 500,000 tons no. Say na mo contracts in there. It is our contract no any the core banks no mo yes syndicated loan or member loan no it is contract na collateral.
Okay.
It is our contract na banks na beji. So Cocobod will contract say obe supply 500,000 tons. In Crawford no air ton of $6,000 a ton. It's value near 3 billion.
Okay.
Omo per loan 2.5 billion. Ewo yen ho. Ye share contracts no mukita na. We are okay to give them the loan of 2.5 billion.
Okay.
What you say?
Match say.
It is a say no season is starting as ye into omo this kind of brain. Sa sika no mu eni yi the friend seed fund. Eni e di ma LBC no no mo enko to cocoa no emre.
Oh, okay.
Somebody cocoa no ba ni e di supply omo a ye ni omo sign contracts. Inti ye supply ma no mutua. Omutua na loan for no ti omo de plus omo interest. Na de be ka no cocoa farmer no any Cocobod and all that. It is aneti.
Oh, okay.
Now what it means they say in the year 23-24 no forecaster Cocobod omodi emma mandate say yanko sign contract no. There was a problem with that forecast.
Okay.
Now never in the history of Cocobod have you ever had a forecast go off by about 40%. It's never happened. It has never happened and is not supposed to happen because with Cocobod expertise or no, there is no reason why you can have a forecast that will go off by 40%. Never. It's never happened in the history of Cocobod.
Okay.
It can only happen when people decided to cook the books. Cook the books no meaning say unim pefe say on the basis of your performance in the last 2 seasons and the correct forecast no there's no way you are going to achieve that crop forecast. But because now here upe sa volume no enti no uye to say bia o may forecast here 800,000 ube kaya sa year no Cocobod your mo crop forecast no there were a lot of people who said that it is not feasible, it's not possible. Now o share Cocobod last 2 years performance they cannot say they are going to do 800,000 in the course of the year. Cocobod reviewed the forecast until you gave this forecast and then you got CMC to go and sign the contracts at $2,600 and you couldn't deliver 333,000. So forecast no a core of 5%, 3%. We can understand it because it is not exact. But you cannot have a forecast that goes off by 40%. And then straight up, the price goes from 26 to 66. And you have to service 333,000 tons. Not 3,000 tons.
Yeah.
So by that decision that they made in 23-24, no, the Ghanaian cocoa farmer and Cocobod is going to lose $1.4 billion.